Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Allen here, Contractor USA. I'm excited to share some of my tips, which I'm gonna call this the top 10 tips to becoming a successful contractor. You got to have the basics. Now, I'm not putting this section into tips. I want to get to the nitty gritty in a minute. But first of all, of course, the obvious, you have to have a contractor's license in the state that you're in. If that state requires a contractor license, you do have to have a business license. So whatever city you're working in, county, you got to make sure you have all that kind of stuff. You can't be doing work illegally when that city hasn't approved you to do work in that city. The other thing is you want to get the right entity, and in general, construction companies will be either an LLC, S Corp, or C Corp. I'm not going to go into detail. I recommend S Corp because you're going to save on taxes, especially your self-employment taxes, but you could find more videos of me talking about that. And finally, you need a business plan. Now, these are the things I don't want to dive into, but in essence, a business plan is figuring out where you want to go and what you're aiming at, because if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. So here's the thing. When it comes to the success of a business, I like to look at business in three components. I like to make it simple. I mean, we can complicate the heck out of this thing and we could dive in. But really, a business in essence is made up of three parts. It's basically the people and the product and the process. Of course, as a contractor, you produce the product, right? And that's what we do when we build something. A client wants a room addition, or they want us to build a house, or they want us to build a commercial building with offices, or even down to the smallest, like a kitchen remodel or even a bathroom remodel, something like that, right? Well, the product is what we produce. But if we don't have any people, then nothing matters, right? Or we can even go out and invest, $10, $15, $20,000 to get equipment to get started. But why if we don't have people? Now, I know obviously you can't produce the product without the equipment, but you still have nothing if you have no people. And the process is basically the organization of how you organize everything. But I'm going to really touch on a lot today on the people portion, because in reality, that's what we need. And there's only really three types of people we get: leads, referrals, and repeats. So the first thing you got to do is that BAM. That's what I like to call it. Boom, bam, there you go. And that's the branding, advertising, and marketing. If you're going to do one of these, the one you want to really be able to do is get that social media going. That's free. It costs you nothing, right? You just set it up, take some time, and start posting like crazy on your social media. Now, my producer, he's here today and obviously producing, but he has written a social media program. You're more than welcome to look at that. I'm sure it'll be down there in a description, so you'll be able to get that. But anyways, you want to be able to post on a regular basis. A lot of people post quite a bit. Currently, we're posting about 3 times a day on videos and things like that. But our aim is to then hit what Gary V's doing, about 7 a day. But I want to get up to Alex Hormozy, which is doing about 50 posts every single day of things like that, content. And so, actually it takes a lot of strategic planning, especially if you're going to give good, valuable content. But that's what you want to be able to do. Start letting people know, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's the kind of projects I love to do. And then let the world know. The next thing you might want to do is get a website after that, but I want to emphasize social media first, okay? Marketing and all that, you could worry about that later when you start producing some money, like, doing some blogs, having some content written for your website, having a content writer. There's a variety of different stuff we'll deal with later. So that's that. Also, when it comes to this, because it's inexpensive to get started. Now, if you're already a successful construction business, some of these things that we're going to dive into are really going to apply towards expanding your business, but you'll also want to get that second part to this when I do the next one on expanding, leveling up into a multi-million-dollar construction company. But you're going to get some great value here today. Don't underestimate bootleg marketing or advertising. That's like getting one of those lawn signs that costs like $5-10. They're like $14 if you order them individually. At least it was the last time I ordered them. But if you order in bulk, like 100 plus, you can get them down to about $5 each. And then you just take that corrugated plastic and you stick it on that hanger, shove it into a lawn. You could put it on your lawn, your friends' lawns, whoever that'll let you put it there. That if you do concrete, says concrete, and contact this number. Whatever it is that you do. Now, one of the things I do recommend, though, is if you do that, don't put a lot of words on there. I was driving in Orange, California, and I see this Italian restaurant, and they got this banner, and it's got a lot of words on it. And I'm driving by, and I'm like, I'm trying to read it. I'm like, forget it. I don't even know what they were offering. And I was only going like 25, 30 miles an hour through that zone, but they had so many words I couldn't even read it. It's like you got to stop traffic just to read it. So make sure that when people are driving by that they could see it and it's memorable, whatever that is, okay? So I want to encourage you, old school marketing, it works, man. You got to get the people in. The next thing I need you to remember is this, and this is I use this all the time, but contacts equal contracts. That's just it, man. It's all about who you know. And if you're not a people person, you don't know anybody, well, you're going into a people person driven industry where you need to cater to the whims of people's dream. What do they want? You got to get to know them. You got to be able to communicate effectively, right? And so I've learned that as I have focused on, working with people, that I've honed in on some of my things. Like I'll get like books or even audio books that I could listen to while I'm driving on communication, how to communicate better, more effectively, more efficiently, using story or something like that to, encapsulate an idea or things like that. But you want to be able to build rapport with people. Remember, every interaction you have is important. I'm going to start off with the smallest one. So I was talking to I was walking into a grocery store. I think it was, I don't know, Albertsons, Ralph's. I can't even remember which one. And I was going in there to grab some food, some drinks and things like that. And there was this young man standing there trying to get me to sign stuff, right? And I'm like, oh, well, hey, what's this about? Normally, I just ignore those guys in general. I just keep walking on. But I was in a talkative mood that night, and I was like, hey, what do you do, brother? What's going on here? What do you got going? And I'm listening to his stuff, and he asked me what I do, and I started telling him, I have a contractor school. I own several businesses, and one of the particular businesses I was talking about was the investments, and I said, hey, why don't you come to my mastermind? He's like, okay, and so now he's come to that, and he's been contacting me, texting me, and stuff like that. But from that one unique little meeting where we had a conversation, he now is involved with me in different types of investment projects, which is really great. I got to tell you another one because I love this one. So in my contractor school down in Chula Vista, which is San Diego near the border of California, I would walk in, and every day I just go, and I noticed that in these offices, because there's about 7 or 8 stories, there's all these lawyers and doctors, and they're walking out with their high profile suits and, their briefcases, and they're on the phone, and, they don't talk to anybody. They just walk past everybody in the hallway. And I noticed the day monitor and the night monitor as well, and they have like a little security guard, and nobody's talking to them. So I would always stop by and talk to the lady. Her name's Jin. She's an Asian lady, and after a while, she got used to me constantly talking to her. And one day she's like, Allen. She's like, come here. And so I go over there. And we start talking. She's like, I always see all these people going up into your business. Like, what else do you do? And so I begin to explain to her. And then she's like, my husband and I want to talk to you. So the next week, they talked to me and they said, you know what? We want to invest in your business if that's possible. We have no kids. We've been working all our lives. We have a good amount of money, and we're ready to retire. And all that came about simply because I just talk to people. I mean, it's so simple. But think about this. So on one of my podcasts, I was interviewing one of the contractors who went through our program. He's killing it. And he said, hey, how do I get leads? I go, man, you got to get involved in your community. If you're not putting into your community, you can't expect to withdraw from your community. So I said, go to the Chamber of Commerce, And so he ran out there to the Chamber of Commerce. And oddly enough, and if you're listening to this, most contractors do not go or bother to go to the Chamber of Commerce in their community. And there's so many people there. He was shocked because when he announced he's a contractor, because they ask, hey, what do you do? And they're like swarming him, trying to get his card and trying to get information. And, everybody's looking for a good contractor. I'm sure you have probably, if you don't work on your own vehicle, maybe you take your car into a mechanic or something like that, right? I do. One of the things I always notice is when I go in there and I'm talking to these guys. I'm like, man, I hope they take care of my car. I don't know if I'm getting like, raped over this stuff, because they're charging all kinds of money for everything that they want to do. And then you get out, you get done, you're like, my brakes don't sound as good as they sounded when I went in. What are you doing? You have these issues, right? Well, at the end of the day, you want to find people that you trust. And so that's you. People want to know, can they trust you? So go to those Chamber of Commerce meetings. Go to business meetings where entrepreneurs come together. Because these guys and gals in these entrepreneur meetings, I just got to give you a big hint, man, and they're all over your area. These guys and gals, they own buildings. They own commercial buildings, warehouses, restaurants, businesses, and they're always looking for good contractors. And once you're a part of that ecosystem or that community, man, oh man, are you going to get so many jobs? It's going to be unbelievable. I was talking to one contractor, and he's in one of those communities, and he's right now remodeling a warehouse, and he's pulling hundreds of thousands of dollars for that thing. So that's great. You want to be able to get into those kinds of things. Other things you could do, entrepreneur meetings. You got to build rapport. You got to, when you're there, get names. Don't just stand there and announce stuff. Go ask people, hey, what do you do? It's pretty simple. If you don't know how to meet people, learn how. Watch a YouTube video or something. But just walking up and doing the basics like, hey, my name's Allen. I'm from such and such. What do you do? And then ask them a few questions about themselves. Look, I got to tell you a hint. I do have a part of a degree. One of my aspects of my degree that I got is in communication. So here's one of the secrets, because first let me just tell you what turns people off. When you begin to talk to someone and you just start telling them everything about you and what you do and all that kind of stuff, inside they're just like, they want to go to sleep, man, especially if you don't know how to communicate well. So talk to them, ask them what they do, and then let them bring it up. And if they don't, then go, hey, by the way, if you know anybody that needs, and you can state whatever it is you do, kitchen remodel, check out my card. You got a few friends, let them know, man. I'd really appreciate it. That would be very helpful. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable there. I know that sounds weird, but it actually pulls in clients when you say something at the end. Hey, man, if you know anybody that needs a kitchen remodel or looking, go ahead and let them know that I can get them taken care of. And if you can help me out with that, that'd be great. That last part, you can help me out with that, that'd be great. And then you take their card. And if you could tell them the same, man, if I see anybody that needs this, man, I'll help you out. You create that ecosystem. Obviously, go to friends, family, relatives. Maybe not every family member or friend, because someone might be crazy. I don't know. Everybody's got the crazy friend, right? And the relative. But in the end of the day, contacts equal contracts. Because remember, if you have all the equipment and you have the ability to create a masterful product and you're organized, but you don't have people, man, you got a hobby. And so let's get you going. So that's why the heavy emphasis on getting you out there. You got to get to know people. You may not realize this, but you are in sales. Everything you do is sales. Everything to how you present yourself. I know that a lot of times people will say, like, I'll be talking and they'll be, I'm not a salesperson. I don't like salespeople, and I get it. Everybody's probably been taken advantage of, or at least a lot of people, by heavy-handed salespeople, right? But you know what? When you won that person that maybe you're dating or you married, you presented yourself in a different way. When you went to a job interview, maybe you cleaned up, maybe you actually shaved your hair or your legs, depending on who you are, right? And, you presented yourself in a way that was clean cut, is what I'm trying to say, right? And trying to look good and not stink and, not have bad BO and bad breath and all those other kinds of things. You went there and represented yourself in a way that maybe you don't always represent yourself when you're hanging around the house or going to the store, right? So the point is, you are in sales. People do judge the book by the cover. I can't emphasize that more. So again, 1 was that BAM, 2 was that contacts equal contracts, 3 sales, you are in it, and you got to be in it to win it. So you got to master sales. Don't be afraid to grab an audio book on sales, 10X, there you go, by Grant Cardone. It's actually got some great information in there. The other thing that you want to do is you want to follow up. Contractors, guys and gals, if you're listening, listen, It takes about 6 or 7 touches to actually win someone. That means you're reaching out to them. You're texting them or you're calling them. More power to you if you're getting them on the calendar right away. That's good. Should be the first initial step when someone calls you. Get them on the calendar before you let go of that conversation. Get that appointment set. If not, if you can't get that, maybe you're driving or some other issue comes up, make sure you do your follow-up. Maybe they're looky-loos and they're just looking around trying to find a contractor, trying to give a rough estimate or something like that from you, just over the phone. Well, make sure that you follow up. In fact, 10 to 15% of people are still landed after the 10th to 12th touch. That's why you want to practice, maybe reaching out about 12 times over the period of a couple of, maybe 2 weeks or something like that. So follow-up is key. In fact, most people would say that follow-up is the golden chalice. It is what is going to bring that group of people in, okay? Action. What action do you take? That's number 5. Number 3 is follow-up. Number 4 is follow-up. Number 5 is action, ladies and gentlemen. You got to take action, but it's right action. Action that's based on where are you going, based on the plan that you wrote out. Even if it's just a small little plan that you wrote out on a napkin, that works. I get it. You're not going to write one of those 15, 20-page plan that gets it all organized and detailed down into the 1, 3, 5 year. Not yet. Maybe you'll come to one of our seminars and we'll help you lay that out. But right now, just knowing exactly what you're doing and how you're going to do that, if you could just chicken scratch that out on a napkin or a piece of paper, something, right? So you kind of know. And then what you do is you focus on the Pareto principle, which is an 80-20 principle that basically is true generically when you do like in general, it's pretty true. But you're going to have actionable steps that get you to where you want to go. So in other words, if you write down a whole bunch of stuff, 100, 200 things that you got to do, usually it's the 20% of things that are going to turn the most results, right? So for example, you could be out there organizing your truck or organizing your inventory room, right? But that's not bringing in people. And if right now you need to produce money, you need to focus on the things that produce you the most amount of money. So you got to focus on landing those people. Doing the follow-up is going to be of the most important thing that you do. So that's the action part. You want to make sure you're able to do that, right? And continue to take action. I was watching Undercover Billionaire second season. You got to check that out. I love that, man. And they had 3 billionaires. The whole idea is that you have 90 days to build $1 million company. You get $100, a cell phone with no contacts, and you can't use your real name. Actually, it's pretty good. I was mesmerized by what these billionaires did to create wealth in 90 days. And one of them was Grant Cardone, and he was selling for this mattress company. He just said, hey, how about I sell some stuff for you? I'll do an event. I'll take care of everything. And then he just went and bootlegged that thing. He ordered some signs. He got out there with one of those spinny signs that you see people on the corner, and he's waving people in. Well, he brought in more revenue that weekend just from doing that old school bootleg type marketing, that he was able to create a nice spread bonus from what he brought in, which created some wealth that he was able to then take and invest in some other things. But he took action, ladies and gentlemen. That's the kind of action. You want to figure out what you got to do, and then you want to take the right action that's going to give you the best results. One of the things that we do in our business is we're constantly, when I'm talking with my staff, we'll usually have one of those powwows. We have a training session during the week, and we'll talk about, hey, what are the things that we need to do that focuses us, that produces the most income, and or sets up our company to produce the most income, and then we do that. So that's going to be important. Number 6 is invest in what you need. A lot of contractors, and if you look it up on Google, I Googled it just before I got on here to see what other people are saying or thinking. And it's interesting. They go through the basic steps, but they're not really telling you anything like that you couldn't just sit down and write down on a piece of paper. They're saying, oh, well, go buy all your equipment. And I actually don't agree with that. Go buy all your equipment first, not if you don't have people. Look, I've started businesses without having the equipment, set up the entity, got the business license, started the website, started marketing the website, doing the SEO, creating videos, starting social media before I even bought the equipment that and offered the service per se, because you got to start building your stuff out there and start getting into meetings where you can get around that, right? So you want to invest in the things you need. So for example, if you're going to start a construction business, you can pay money to build a website, or you can go get that new chop saw. You should pay money to get the website. Of course, unless you have a few little jobs that you already have going, because maybe you've been doing it before you got your licenses and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But then again, you've been doing those jobs, so you have those tools. So don't go buy more tools until you get something that's getting you out there, right? Maybe a nice camera so you can do social media, maybe upgrade your cell phone, right? From a dumb phone to a smartphone, because the phones nowadays, I mean, we got all these Apple phones and all this kind of stuff. And the crazy thing is that today, the cameras and the recording capability on the cameras today are better than all the cameras built before pretty much before 1980. So you can do entire movies on your cell phones. People are actually doing them. And so I want you to know that you can get a nice cell phone and just go to town doing social media, sit down, come up with some great ideas, but you need to take action in those areas, and you need to invest in the tools that are going to help you. One of the things you want to do, just a quick side note, if you are going to use like a cell phone or something, if you can get like a lapel mic that connects to your lapel, that picks up just your sound rather than all the noises out there. I personally recommend that, because you want to try to remove the barriers of people listening to you. You want to remove the barriers that keep people from listening to you, because they hear trains in the background or cars or wind blowing, and they can't really make out what you're saying because they got all this noise coming in, right? So you want to stop that, right? So you want to be able to work on that. So that's going to be important. So definitely focus on that. Now, partnerships. I cannot emphasize how important these partnerships are, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to meet other contractors, right? Well, if you know contractors that are outside of your trade, talk to them, man. Meet with them. Set up that little community where they are recommending you and you're recommending them. You know, make sure you know the state laws and all that kind of stuff on what you're allowed to do in a kickback. Like in California, you can give them $5 for the recommendation, but that's nothing, right? So make sure that you are, those kinds of laws. But basically, you want to get into partnerships that can produce you income. In my business, I've created many different partnerships, and some of those partnerships, depending on which motto you go into, can create some incredible wealth because you got this stream of income. So, for example, I have someone who services our insurance, so they service all of our people, and I get a little something from recommending and kind of doing marketing for them, and so it works out. You're legally allowed to do marketing, so that works out for those people by doing that. So he sends me a check. It works out great. The other thing is, we talked about that you're in the sales industry, but you need to learn to sell. So this is number 8, learn to sell. If you can sell, you can do anything, right? So sell can be down to the tone of voice, down to how you're speaking, what words are you using? Do you know your audience, right? Who are you talking to? If it's male or female, take the cue from the words they're using, right? Do they have kids in the room if you're bidding in a house? If you're on a project with a bunch of contractors, you're in a commercial building, what's that guy doing? What is he asking for? One of the things that's one of the key components of being successful in a meeting is kind of mimicking the person in charge. I know it's an odd thing. If they pick up their cup, you pick up their cup, your cup to drink, right? Not their cup. You pick up your cup. And what's interesting is that person in their subconscious mind is connecting all the people in the room, and without even thinking about it, they feel this connection to you because you guys are doing similar things. Even though they're not consciously thinking about it, it's impacting their subconscious. And it's interesting because then they feel this connection and they want to do stuff with you. So learning how to sell. So just simple things like that. And we have stuff that you can learn more on selling, but make sure you study that well. Meet key players. So when you go into a city, right, or you go to the Chamber of Commerce, look for the mayor. In fact, Go set an appointment with the mayor. Let them know you're there, or her. Let them know that you're there, right? And what you do. How many people actually do that? That is a powerful tool, because then if you visited them and then you begin to run into them in different locations, like I run into the mayor all the time in my city. Just the other day, I ran into him at the gym. So I was talking to him in the gym and just seeing what's up and what's going on. He knows me by name now. I know him by name. We talk to each other. And so now think about it. When he recommends me to do something to somebody, oh yeah, I got this great contractor, and you got to use this. I mean, I'm not in construction anymore with the podcast and the schools and all my other companies. I'm out of that now, in the sense of I'm not doing the actual building of hotels anymore and malls. What I'm doing now is I'm training contractors, taking all that experience and giving insight so that you guys can grow and scale, right? And then be a part of these projects that I'm overseeing within a fund that we do build, but, I'm more just acting like watching the team make that happen, like a general manager of that. So you got to meet key players no matter where you go. If you're going to go to the Chamber of Commerce, meet the person who's leading it. If you're going to go to a business meeting, meet the person who's leading it. If you're going to go to an entrepreneur meeting, meet the person who's leading it. That's key factor, because then they're going to always recommend you. So get to know them, talk to them, invite them out to lunch, invite them out to coffee, whatever you got to do. Listen, as contractors, man, these kinds of meetings, you never see contractors go to this stuff. They're usually just running around and doing their construction projects, writing bids, trying to get together and follow up with everything they can with all the stuff they got going on. They're constantly in that arena or that area. So the more that you can meet key players, the better. In fact, you can even ask when you go into a town. Interesting, when you watch Undercover Billionaire and they get into a specific town, the very first questions they ask are, who's the mayor? Who are some of the representatives here? And they start going and meeting them. They find them, track down the meetings that they're going to, and they go to them to get to know them. That is a powerful instrument to growing your business, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot emphasize that enough, right? So that's number 9. You got to meet those key players. Now, I know I said 10, but I got 12 actually. So number 10 is you got to grow to go. You got to keep leveling up. You got to keep learning. You got to know what you're doing. You want to save on taxes? Learn about taxes. When you go meet with your tax person, make sure that you tell them, hey, I'm going to come in and pick up my taxes. Can I maybe pay for a half hour of your time if they're not already giving that to you? You should choose a tax person who actually looks at your stuff, and then when you come in, they give you a half hour to 45 minutes of their time, and they go, hey, I could see that you're scaling, and this is some of the things you can do to help better your future and save on taxes. If you don't have that, you probably need to change your tax person. But you got to grow to go. You got to be a constant learner, and probably you're doing that, right? You're already looking like, you go to YouTube. Every time I do something or I want to learn something, I'll go to YouTube. I have one of my RV, the door on the refrigerator, the top broke. And so I start looking it up, and I'm getting the make and model right. And I'm looking it up and trying to watch videos. Okay. That's okay. I can do that. Right. And trying to navigate that. One of the key things you can do also, if you're going to do something like, let's say, I'm going to throw out something super simple, and probably this is not a part of your trade, but I get it. Say you're going to install a hot water heater. Then go to YouTube and look at mistakes installing a hot water heater. I can't tell you how valuable it is to see the dumb things that people have done, and then not to do that every time. It's a great way of training. So that's a perfect way to do that. But that's cool because you're using videos to learn and grow, but you also want to be able to take time when you're driving, maybe listen to some audiobook 1 or 2 days a week so you can get some stuff on whether it's construction or taxes or communication or sales or whatever it is, even just understanding buildings, like the architect, what kind of architect is there? So that when you're talking at a higher level, you know what I mean? And that way you can impress people and they feel like they know what you're doing. So that's number 10. So just real quick, I just want to reiterate before I go into these last 2, because they're pretty awesome. But bam, you got to get that website and that old school marketing going if you're just starting out. You got to get marketing. So that's branding, advertising, marketing. Contacts equal contracts. So get to know people. If you don't know how to know people, then get to meet people, right? Find places you can. Make sure that if you don't have that type of outgoing personality, well, either hire someone to do that or just man up, woman up, whatever you got to do, because you got to get to know people. Number 3 was sales. Number 4 is follow-up. Number 5 is action. Got to take that action, the Pareto principle, doing the things that get you the most amount of attention and or what's going to produce you the most amount of money. Number 6, invest in the things you need. What are the most important things you need now to get people, right? Number 7, partnerships. Work out partnerships, have people refer you. And it doesn't have to be just contractors, by the way. You can work that out with your tax person. Like, hey, if you recommend me to people, I'll recommend people to you. It could be done in any industry. You're an insurance person. Recommend people to me. I'll recommend people to you. Store clerks, anything, everybody, right? You want to build those partnerships. Number 8, learn to sell. Number 9, go meet the key players in your town, city, and businesses, and all that kind of stuff. Get to know them. Take them out to lunch or coffee, right? Or just see if you can get a meeting with them. Number 10, you got to continue to learn, so you got to grow to go. And number 11, get out of construction. Wait, what? You're teaching us on the 10 steps to a successful contracting business, becoming a contracting business, right? What do you mean get out of construction? What I mean is this. The highest level of your business is when you begin to work on your business, not in your business. All the stuff it takes from everything I'm talking about, from the follow-up to the branding to the going out and meeting people. Well, you're not going to have time to do that if you're doing the physical work within that business, right? You have to get out there to meet people. You got to be spending time with people. Maybe pick up golf and go do a golf tournament when they're doing fundraisers for, all these business entrepreneurs or things like that. Make sure you get out there. That's right. And make that happen, right? But get out of it. If you spend time working for money, you'll always work for money. In other words, you're just going to be exchanging your time and you're going to be doing stuff to produce money. When you can have a crew run that and they're making money, and then you can go bring in. I always tell my staff, we got to go hunt, we got to kill, we got to bring it back so that we can make good money together. You know what I mean? And then here's the other thing, because if you're going to make money, you got to get out there. But number 12, success leads to more opportunities. If you do a good job and you're being successful at what you do, there's nothing worse than losing your referrals and your repeats. Remember I talked about at the very beginning, when it comes to people, there's only 3 types of people. There's leads, repeats, and referrals. But if you're doing a horrible job, you're going to lose your repeats and referrals, and you're probably going to end up being one of those statistics where 83.9% of all construction businesses fail and or go bankrupt. Well, do a good job and people are going to sing your praises, right? They're going to use you on other projects. They're going to tell their friends and their neighbors. In fact, one of the key things that you can do, and a lot of businesses or salesmen use this, after you're done with the project, go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, do you have any friends that maybe you know of that might need my services? Is there any way maybe I can maybe get their number and their name? Maybe I can just give them a call and see what's up. Or if you wouldn't mind, would you give them my card? Because, now that we know each other, maybe you'd recommend me to them, and they'll be like, oh yeah, sure. Of course, don't forget to have them give you a review, especially on Google. Make sure you've obviously done a good job, because that's going to scream greatness out there into the community, right? So that's basically it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my 12 things. That's going to get you going, and that's going to make you successful. That's a good way to start. Let's get out there. Let's make some great money, and let's build an amazing construction community together. We can work together and build each other's future. Don't forget, we got your back, so we'll talk to you soon. Allen here, Contractor USA. Talk to you soon.